Hi Superstars, thanks so much for spending this time with me today. I'm Debbie Starr, the writer of In the Waiting, which is a blog I created on WRStar.com. It's where I share my story of going from doing movie marathons to running half marathons. So today I want to chat with you about two things you're definitely going to have in order to be successful in your weight loss journey. So the two things I want to talk about today is endurance and self-control. Now, it might be something right now that you click off and say, nah, I don't want to hear that. But here's two things that you have to know. You got to know. I'm just being a truth teller. You know, I'm always real with y'all. And you have to have these things in order to be successful. One, you have to have self-control. I have never made a rule in my house to say that certain items can't be brought into the house. Because I know some people say, oh, you know, make your house to where there's no temptation ever around. Here's the reality. We're surrounded by temptation, and you will continue to be surrounded by temptation as long as you live. We're always going to have holidays. We're always going to have the kids bringing stuff home from school or from holidays and things like that. And it's not fair to not let them. Yes, there needs to be a balance on it, but it's not fair for me to put rules and restrictions on the rest of my family who do not have a weight issue, who do not overeat or overindulge in certain things. This is my challenge, my walk that I got to go through. This is my race I'm running. So I have to develop my self-control. I have to be able to say, nope, not going to have that. Nope. And the only way you're going to develop that is when you are around temptation. Now, if you want to kickstart and start a small area of your house where you say, okay, for this 6 weeks or whatever, we're not going to have these things in there. But the reality is that sometime those things are going to come in, and you're going to have the tools and know how to deal with temptation when it comes around. And you're only going to get that by being around tempting things. So if you say, I'm never going to have ice cream in my house again, that might work for a little while, but once it gets in there, you have to be able to know that you're strong enough that if ice cream comes in the house, that you're not going to overindulge, okay? And I'm only telling you from experience because ice cream is one of my things that I totally get sucked into and can easily overindulge in. But I constantly in my house have chips, candy, Doritos, frozen pizzas, all kinds of stuff that my teenage boys totally devour, and my baby girl eats all those yummy treats and stuff too. And I constantly have, you know, uncles and their grandparents and stuff like that, bringing them foods and treats over. And so it's not fair for me to say, no, you cannot have these things. And so for me, I just knew in my journey of life that I'm going to be around temptations. You know, when you go to the movie theater, you're going to be tempted, right? To get a water or get a giant soda. And you got to have the self-control to be able to say, okay, no, I'm going for the water. Even though I'm paying $5 for a water, I'm going for the water because it's a healthier choice. And this is what's going to get me to where I want to be. Also, when you go out to eat with your family, almost every fast food place nowadays has a salad or healthier options for you to choose. So it's up to you when you go to Culver's whether you choose a salad or whether you choose the burger and cheese curds, right? Okay. So you have to develop self-control. And the only way to do that is to tough it up and have to go through it. So the second thing that I want to talk to you about is endurance. In this weight loss journey, in the waiting process, it's a time for when you set goals and then to where you get there. And you're going to have endurance to continue to run your race. That's one thing that's so great for me that I have learned with running is to keep running through the rain, through the pain, when I'm tired, no matter what. Keep on keeping on. Keep putting one foot in front of the other and not stop, not give up. And there's going to be difficult times. You know, life is not always a bed of roses. Life is not always awesome and it isn't amazing. But when those days come, it's awesome to celebrate those and enjoy those. But that's not almost every single day. Every day isn't Disneyland. Every day isn't Chuck E. Cheese, right? You know, I try to tell my kids this and let them know that, but it's reality. You know what I mean? So there's going to be tough days. There's going to be storms. Or we're going to go through loss. We're going to go through all kinds of things that go on. And in order for us to get to that end, we're going to have endurance. We're going to have endurance. Endurance is keeping on when the hard times hit. It's enduring that time, right? And so if you think you don't have self-control and you think you don't have patience and that you can't endure these things, you do. If you have the Holy Spirit inside of you, go back and watch my video on you do have what it takes, and I'll explain more in that video on that. But I do want to encourage you with a scripture here today. It's in Proverbs. I love Proverbs. There's so much wisdom in Proverbs. But in Proverbs 25, I just think it's so cool how in 27:28 is what I'm going to read you. 27 says, it's not good to eat too much honey, which I think it's so cool that scripture is right above when you go into the scripture 28 that says, like a city whose walls are broken down is a person who lacks self-control. So again, the wisdom there of don't eat too much honey. Yes, honey, God gave us honey. There's B vitamins. There's so much nutrients in honey. Honey is great for you. It's awesome to indulge in and to have that. But not to eat too much of it. Too much of it then can cause sickness and disease and And if we're eating so much honey that we're filling up on that kind of stuff, we're not eating the other good things that we need to be having, right? It's all about balance. When things are out of balance, we don't want to have too much of that. And then the next scripture that goes right into is, it says, like a city whose walls are broken down is a person who lacks self-control. You know, if you don't have self-control over yourself, and whenever you have a weight problem, which most of us have had challenges with overindulging, eating too much food, eating past our limits, right? Like even when we've had that point where we feel full, sometimes that gets broken in us because we continue to go on past that. And a lot of times with any type of addiction, you're dealing with something. And so you got to get to the root of that problem of whatever it is. And like I said before, if you've watched my videos before, if you need to get help, go get help, because a healthy, you know, body, mind, spirit, we're working on everything, right, in this journey, okay? You want to be healthy at the end for everything, because so many people I've seen time and time again have gone through weight loss, they get successful with that, but then their addiction just transfers over into something else. They become shopping too much, or they start overindulging in drinking, or whatever else it is, because they never got to the root of the problem of why they were turning to food instead of going to God, why they were filling up that void with food instead of dealing with whatever the issue was going on, you know. And so I just want to encourage you, superstars, to really take some time with the Lord. Always pray. Find out, why is it that you keep going through that? And I've said before, if you start feeling like you're going to overindulge, why are you wanting to go for that second, third, fourth piece of pizza? Okay. Is it really because, you know, you're just kind of numbing yourself because you're tired and you don't feel good? Or is it just because it tastes good and you want to keep going? Well, obviously, you know, then you need to put on the self-control brake and say, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, or is it just, you know, if you're numbing yourself, find out why that is. Find out what's going on and deal with that issue. Because if you don't uproot that, whatever it is, and deal with those issues and you just continue to stuff it, then those problems don't go away. They're still there, right? But then you have an additional problem of being overweight or whatever the addiction problem is that you're struggling with, right? So, superstars, I want to encourage you to keep on enduring and to work on that self-control. Those are two things you're definitely going to have in order to be successful in this journey. And in the long run, because we're all going to be around tempting situations and yummy foods for our entire life. It's not when you're dealing with a weight issue and giving up, you know, eating overindulgence. And here's the thing is, it's not forever. Okay. So you're cutting back portions and things like that. You're going to what a healthier range of what it's supposed to be. And when you eat the right foods, when you eat from God's garden, you get a ton of food. You know, if you count your calories and all that kind of stuff, you get a ton of food to eat every single day when you're eating the good stuff. When you start eating the ice cream and the chips and the pizza, then that's when you're eating things that are like 400 or 500 calories a pop. And that is where those pounds can add up and everything can go, you know, to the other extreme that we're not wanting to do. And right now, when you're overweight, look at it as you're in debt. And what do you do when you're in debt? You stop spending. So, okay, so you stop overeating and indulging in some of those extra things that you did before. And then you work really hard and you pay off that debt. Or sometimes you have to get a second job, right? So that's kind of what we're doing when we're exercising, right? Is we're over-exercising, or not over-exercising, but we're exercising more now than what we'll have to do later in order to maintain, because we're in debt, because we're trying to get those excess pounds off, right? So, but it's not forever. In time, we're going to get to our goal weight, and then we're going to be able to maintain that. We can quit the second job, right? And then we're able to maintain it. And then when we go and have those nice things every once in a while, we're not going to overindulge, because I don't know about you, but if you've ever dealt with the debt monster, once you get out of debt, you're like, never again am I going to buy a brand new car. Never again am I going to get a credit card and rack it up. Never again am I even going to have a credit card. In fact, that's a whole nother topic. But, you know, so you want to be debt free. Thank God my husband and I have been able to go through that. So I know that just strengthens you every time that you go through different things in life, that God helps you to be able to go on to the next thing that you're taking on in your life, which is kind of why I'm comparing the whole debt monster with being overweight. So anyways, superstars, I hope that this encourages you. Give me a like, share it with friends or anybody else that you know that would encourage them. The like is like my tip jar. And my prayer always for you is that you will be patient and that you will make healthy choices while you are in the waiting.